There's a core truth I have come to realize. Real healing doesn't only happen in the therapist's office or within the four walls of a weekly session. True change, the kind that lasts, unfolds across the countless minutes, hours, and days that make up our ordinary lives. That's when we need practical understanding the most right in the mess, the routine and the unexpected moments of every day. Recently, we've been exploring our ego, the personality we've carefully constructed over the years. Last time, we turned our attention inward, examining our thoughts and feelings. But today, let's shift our gaze outward to consider our external self. This is how we bring all of those internal beliefs, rules, and inherited stories into the world around us. Our external self is shaped by our priorities, those core needs and desires that began forming when we were very young. The solutions we came up with as kids, the feelings we craved, all of that becomes a compass we follow, often without even realizing it. These priorities guide our actions, our choices, and influence how we show up each day. But there's another piece to this puzzle: our filters. These are the lenses through which we interpret everything that happens to us. They're why one word can mean very different things to different people. The word I emphasize might not be the one you hear because your internal priorities and mine aren't quite the same. This isn't about who's right or wrong. It is about recognizing that we are all interpreting the world through our own unique emotional blueprints. And here's why that matters. Sometimes the very rules we form to protect ourselves end up holding us back. They were once essential for survival, maybe even saved us from real hurt. But in the present, those same rules can build barriers, keeping us walled off, misunderstood, or stuck in old patterns. There's a simple ground rule in healing. We can't do it alone. We heal in safe connection with others. To break down our barriers, we must first understand the rules we're living by. It's not about erasing them, but learning to negotiate with them. We need to find the gray areas. We can ask ourselves, is this rule really serving me right now? It's also important to remember the world isn't going to play by our rules alone. We're part of something bigger, a community, a family, a circle of people where everyone's needs matter, and where safety comes from connection, not just self-protection. This isn't a threat to who you are. If anything, it's about empowerment, about taking the reins. By understanding your own filters and the reasons behind your rules, you can navigate life with more choice, more freedom, and deeper connection. I encourage you to take some time to explore this in your own life. Remember, our healing and our strength are built every single day, in how we understand ourselves and in the connections we nurture along the way.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening all, it's Bear here. And I'd like to welcome you to my YouTube channel, A Box With No Lid. A channel I've spent the last few years creating and working on, delving into and exploring the narrative, story, and the world and reality that is trauma and complex trauma. I come at it from my own personal journey and my own personal experiences as I'm an adoptee and I was trafficked and sold as an infant. But I also draw upon my many years as a practitioner and as an advocate, all with this simple hope of broadening the awareness and understandings around the ripple effects and the impacts trauma has in a real world context. And I also want to bring forward ideas that can help improve the quality of people's lives in the day-to-day. Because out of all my practitioner years, that I've said in numerous videos, the majority of the healing work we do from trauma is in the minutes, hours, and days, weeks, and months of our waking and sleeping life at home, in the lives we live, not so much in the therapist office. And having these understandings of what we require and how we can heal, I found is more beneficial when we can bring them into our day-to-day life, rather than just practicing them 1 or 2 hours a week in a session. With all this in mind, the last few videos I've been exploring our ego, the personality, the person that we are and how we perceive ourselves, and the filters that we have and our survival state and the rules and all these different components that shape the person we are and how we see ourselves, how we express ourselves. In the last video, I talked about our internal self. Well, in this video, I want to explore our external self, our external expression of all of those filters and rules. of the epigenetics of everything we've inherited, generational trauma, and so forth and so forth, and how this comes together in people's lives. Now, there are so many ways we can look at this and view this, and none of them are completely right and none of them are completely wrong. Why? Because this is such an individualistic thing. It comes down to what we've chosen to construct and the reasons, our reasons behind it, our survival narrative, our trauma narrative, our internal narrative, our story. Our external self is driven by our emotional priorities. Our emotional priorities were created when we were 2, 3, 4 years old. From what we wanted fulfilled back then, from what we perceived in our environment and world back then. The feelings we thought we wanted to feel to make everything right, our solutions. And what we thought we would feel when we've succeeded in making those solutions a reality. They are our emotional priority, and they are at the core of our expression of who we are, our external self. They are what, when we step out the door into the world, what on a conscious or a subconscious level, we are trying to fulfill them. We are seeking them out. Simply why? Because what stands out, what we noticed in our life, in our day-to-day lives, the things we pursue, the things we're attracted to, are driven by those core desires, those core needs, those core wants, those core priorities. Another component of our external self is the way our filters engage with how we interpret everything around us. We need to kind of understand that. Not just in the way we express ourselves, because I know we all suffer from where we've been misinterpreted, where someone hasn't understood our intent, the reasons we've chosen to do something, or the reasons and why or how we're saying things. I know on countless times where I've gone, I have no idea how people got that from what I was saying or writing even. But I've learned over the years because I look at my external self, my internal self, and so forth. It's the way I prioritize and emphasize words, which comes from my internal emotional priorities. Doesn't match their emotional internal priorities. So the words that stand out for them are different. The emphases are different. And this is one of the core bases that I'll step into in the next video, is just by having that understanding opens the door to realize that communication, even though it is difficult, isn't necessarily that they're wrong or you're wrong. It is literally they're interpreting everything I'm saying or you're saying from their emotional priorities, and we're interpreting everything we're saying from ours. And that simple difference is one of the points that I want to make in these few videos around our ego and the person that we have created. Because I can guarantee you, in all of us, our external expression has components, has rules that do not benefit us, that block us making breakthroughs or getting the support and connections we need. Remember, the ground rule of healing trauma is we cannot do it alone. It is only through experiencing our nervous system, experiencing safe and experiencing connections with others, co-regulating with those that are close to us, can we come out of survival. And to do that, we need to start to break down the barriers between us and other people. That is why this is so important. To break down those barriers, we need to understand what drives them. Because we can't just make them go away. We need to negotiate with them. We need to create experiences that can help us learn other ways of doing things so the barriers dissolve themselves. We need to find solutions. Staged solutions, not solutions for the ultimate big thing out there that we're all trying to head for. Staged solutions, moments that can change our perspectives just enough to let a little bit more in. Another large component of our external self, the person that we show the world, is it is driven by the rules of our survival, the rules we have set. And trust me, within those rules is what I just mentioned a moment ago, was that's where we don't do ourselves any favors. There are rules that we have created to survive in moments when we were under threat, under specific types of threat. And yes, those rules work when that threat is physically there and physically going at us. When we're reliving or we're having another traumatic experience like the ones where we built our survival state from. But when that threat isn't there, those rules do us harm. When we come from a survival state, we are triggered. When we are triggered, those rules don't budge. And this is why I talk about negotiation. To understand the rules that we have created and the reasons behind them is the first part. The next part is we need to explore how we can amend those rules by creating gray areas for different types of situations. Yes, there are times when those rules need to be implemented, but there are also times when they don't. And to do that, the first step is understanding our rules. I see so often people getting in their own way out of pure stubborn determination, thinking that the world will play by their rules no matter what. Another critical understanding in the reality of being a human being is the world doesn't play by our rules. And the sooner we understand that, the sooner we can realize that we are part of an ecology. And if we play our part and we create the ecology around us the way we need it to, and we meet, what the ecology requires, and the ecology meets what we require, we find our way and get our place in the world. That is community, that is family, that is a core circle of people working together for the benefit of everybody part of that core group. Not following an individual, not buying by the rules of one person. Everybody's needs are met. That is the understanding at the core of this. And as I said in the next video, I'll go into a little bit more detail. But I want you guys to understand how important this is. This is not a threat to our rules of survival. This is not a threat to the rules we set on how we engage the world. This is not a threat to our filters. This is learning and taking the time and the steps to learn what our filters actually are. Learning what our rules actually are, where they were created and what they're created for. And starting to take the reins of the horse rather than the horse running blind with us tied to the back of it. I really hope you guys get this. And I really hope you guys value it and take the time to do this. As I said in the other videos, back in the day within the old world communities, so much of our day was down to learning and developing who we are and the understandings of our part and the part we play, and developing ways of exploring the depths of who we are and bringing it up in a way that helps us even, develop and make our society stronger, but make us stronger with it. And that's the basis of where I come from with this and how I approach healing in general. As I said, we cannot do it alone. And over the beginning of this year in 2026, I want to break down all the different components that separate us from those we need in our lives to co-regulate, to heal, and to define and feel and know safe. As always, I love you guys' comments and feedback. Please be mindful, please be safe, and I will see you all next time.